Good morning, everyone. We are wrapping up Severe Weather Awareness Week, and it's a time to think about your emergency plans in the event of severe weather. Really, it's just a refresher from what our chief meteorologist and the entire First Alert team talks about all the time, but we're going to go over it again. Our chief meteorologist, Isaac Williams, is here to talk more about it. Isaac, thanks so much for being here.
Happy to be here on a calm weather day to talk about good information
Yes.
in the event when things go bad.
This preparedness week is really about thinking about having a plan in place, thinking about ways to get information.
Sure.
And you all talk to us about it all the time.
Yeah, earlier this week, the statewide tornado drill happened at 9:15, and that was basically designed, to where are you? Are you at school? Are you at work? Are you maybe at a doctor's office appointment? Just wherever it is, you have to know what to do, and you may, not be at a doctor's office, appointment all that often, but still, inside, lowest floor, away from windows, that goes for anywhere you might be.
We don't get to plan when the weather happens, do we?
We don't.
We
No.
do not. So when you all talk about having a plan or an emergency kit for a severe weather event or really any emergency, what goes in there? What do we need?
Well, we need a change of clothes, we need a flashlight, we need some batteries, maybe a little cash, maybe a prescription card, hard sole shoes, a whistle, helmet, anything like that, because heaven forbid, you think about a whistle. Why would I need a whistle? But if you're trapped for some reason, you could whistle for safety.
Sure.
Or if you have to walk through debris to get to safety, to a better area anyway, you would need something other than flip-flops or a bedroom slipper.
Right.
So things like that to consider. And again, just cash, prescription card. You never know when you might need those types of things either.
Not everybody has a storm shelter or a storm room in their home, and you mentioned if you're in a doctor's office, but if you are at home, if you are at school, you all talk about the safest place that you can be in your house.
Yeah, and a lot of times, a basement's great, tornado safe room's great, but even with the Steens tornado in November, I personally walked through homes that had some severe damage, but that interior closet, it was completely not untouched, but I mean, they survived. That's where they were, and people survive all of the time. When you just get, the number of walls, as long as that number goes up,
the safer
with
you are.
Yeah, and the outside as possible, then your chances of survival are very high.
And obviously being away from things like windows, because of flying glass and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something to always keep in mind. Just as long as you don't want to see the outside. If you can see the outside from your safe place, then maybe consider a safer place. There probably is a safer place to be.
Here's one people ask all the time, and it is a fear I've had before. If I happen to be driving and severe weather happens, what is the smartest thing for me to do? If let's say I'm out on Highway 82.
Okay. Well, I actually got this question just recently. Briley and I did a school visit at Henderson Ward in Starkville. Somebody asked that exact question. And they said, though, what if we hear you on the radio? And I'm like, that's a great point, because multiple ways to get warnings.
Sure.
We'll touch on that in a second. But, as long as you know where the tornado might be, try and get yourself, maybe take the next exit. But if you see it, and it's something that's immediate, then you need to pull off and, just lie in a ditch. There's a myth about...
So in your car is not where you need to stay?
No, unfortunately not. And you think, well, why would I leave my car's safety? But, cars become toys during bad weather and tornadoes. And there's also a myth about going under an overpass, but actually science says that wind has to blow faster over a smaller area, which is an overpass. So you're more likely to get pulled out of that overpass. So again, your best bet is to
a ditch if there's one.
Ditch if there's just absolutely no time to spare to get to. But we say all the time, get off the exit, go into a McDonald's, go into a Wendy's, gas station, something.
Yes.
Just something, not your car.
All right, in these last few moments, the multiple ways to get information. There's so much technology that you all have to give us, but we got to get a way to get the information.
Absolutely. Whether it be through our app, NOAA Weather Radio, outdoor sirens to be your last resort. But this week also the 4th anniversary of the Columbus EF3 tornado, and I wasn't here at the time, but we were knocked off the air, and we did a whole newscast, I guess,
on Facebook.
via Facebook. So that would go right into your multiple ways to get warnings. We always stream our coverage there. So if you lose commercial power, Facebook, radio, apps, all in your corner. And you
touched on it already. Make sure all those things are charged, that you're getting the information.
And in that kit, have some batteries in case one of the things is not charged and you need to have some emergency power.
All right. Always good information. We appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, so from digital maps to old school, a hard copy guide is making a comeback in the digital world. We're talking about paper maps. Sales of paper maps were up last year with more people traveling and experiencing the world in a new old-fashioned way. Jennifer Bisram has this unfolding story.
For retired Detective Miller Edwards, X marks the spot on a good old paper map.
Daytona Beach. That's where I want to go.
The 79-year-old uses GPS navigation in his travels too, but paper, he says, offers perspective.
They give me a general idea of a larger area that I need to go to see. They have different cities and different points of view.
A sales boost is putting paper back on the map. Market research from the NPD Group shows sales of maps and atlases reached 1.8 million units last year, up 20% over 2021. AAA says it produced 123% more maps in that time frame.
We are seeing obviously an uptick in travel across the board. So as we're sort of coming out of the COVID pandemic, people are really traveling more.
The Road Club has been in the map-making business for more than 100 years and made 5 million paper maps in 2022 to accompany its popular triptych route planners.
There's all this additional information, points of interest, locations where you can stop for electric vehicle charging perhaps, or AAA Diamond hotels, restaurants, things like that.
Truckers like Sean Gresham use a paper atlas to help solve practical problems out on the road.
This is going to show me every place that's low clearance.
Another upside to paper maps, they don't rely on cell signal, a particular advantage if you're traveling off the beaten path. And once you know how to read a map,
I'm folding it back up.
there's only one other skill you need. Jennifer Bisram, CBS News, New York.
When we come back, taking care of your pet can be costly. That story is next on Mid Morning. All right, we're back. If you're a dog owner and you can't get home in the middle of the day, you may have used a walker to help your four-legged friend get plenty of exercise. But as Michael George explains, trying to find a dog walker these days isn't exactly a walk in the park.
9-year-old Lacey needs plenty of outdoor time, and her owner, Eric Mendez, trusts his dog walker to make sure she gets it.
I wanted to make sure that she was taken out at least 30 to 40 minutes during the day so that, she gets a lot of that anxiety out, has something to do during the day.
But Mendez is finding demand for dog walkers has skyrocketed. Part of that has to do with the pandemic. An ASPCA survey found close to 1 in 5 American families adopted a pet in 2020 and early 2021. That's 23 million households. And with that increased demand comes higher prices. $630 a month?
A month. It was $500, and shortly after the pandemic took off, they raised prices to $630.
The New York Times even reports one walker in New York makes 6 figures, though that's far from typical.
This is Mr. Theo, or Theo for short. He is legally the cutest dog in New York City.
Violet Blyden is the owner of Bear Paws, a dog walking service. She says higher prices have more to do with inflation.
Everything has gotten more expensive. We're paying $8 for eggs. Dog walkers also kind of have to be able to afford New York City.
She also says work from home is winding down for many humans, and they're calling her.
I think it has a lot more people going back to work than it has to do with more dogs. People just need us more.
If you're hiring a walker, experts say do your research first, ask for references, and set up a meet and greet. After all, it's an investment in someone you trust to keep your pup healthy and happy. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The American Pet Products Association reports Americans spend $9.5 billion a year on pet walkers, pet sitters, groomers, and insurance. U.S. food regulations may have left American consumers exposed to chemicals and additives that have been banned in other countries. CBS's Holly Williams goes in depth to show us how some of these ingredients may be linked to cancer and other health-related issues.
From baguettes to focaccia, Europe is famous for its bread, but one ingredient is missing. Potassium bromate is a suspected carcinogen that's banned for human consumption in Europe as well as China and India, but legal in the US, where it's used by some food makers to strengthen dough and estimated to be present in over 100 products.
There is evidence that it may be toxic to human consumers, that it may even either initiate or promote the development of tumours.
Professor Eric Millstone is an expert on food additives and told us European countries take a much more cautious approach to food safety.
Can we say for sure that these differences in regulations mean that people in the US have developed cancers that they would not have developed if they'd been eating only in Europe?
I think that is almost certainly the conclusion that we could reach.
It's not just potassium bromate, but many other chemicals and substances that are banned here in Europe over health concerns, but considered safe by the FDA.
Do you think most Americans are aware that they're being exposed to substances that are viewed as dangerous over here?
They probably just think, well, if it's available and it's in the store, then it's probably fine.
Stacey McNamara is from upstate New York, but has been living in London for 10 years. She told us raising children on this side of the Atlantic has opened her eyes to what's allowed in food in the US. She has no plans to ever move back home.
And is food safety a part of that decision?
For sure, yeah. How am I going to protect my children when it's just everywhere?
In a statement to CBS News, the FDA said that when used properly, potassium bromate converts to a harmless substance during food production. But at the same time, it acknowledged that not all potassium bromate may convert, saying control measures can minimize the amount in food.
Well, more expectant mothers are being diagnosed with a congenital heart disease. Michael George shares one woman's survival story and how going to the doctor saved her life and her baby's life.
Marion Smith is a yoga instructor, so when she was 2 months pregnant and found herself struggling to breathe, she knew something was terribly wrong.
I couldn't really go anywhere outside of my apartment because I'd be so short of breath. I couldn't run anymore. I couldn't do yoga without feeling faint.
Marion went to see cardiologist Dan Halpern at NYU Langone Health. The diagnosis shocked her. Congenital heart disease, a tiny hole in her heart. Dr. Halpern says she needed treatment.
The procedure itself was done with the minimal amount of radiation that could be used for it, and there was also fetal baby protection.
Surgeons used a catheter to repair the hole when she was 18 weeks along.
How have you felt since the procedure?
Amazing. It was like a breath of fresh air. Even when I came to, I knew that in a couple weeks I will be feeling better and I can celebrate my pregnancy and I can have the delivery that I wanted.
A few months later, she gave birth to a healthy boy, Edenara. Her pregnancy helped reveal a heart problem that can go undetected, causing 150,000 strokes a year.
Nowadays, congenital heart disease is among the most prevalent conditions that young women of childbearing age could have.
Dr. Halpern advises expectant mothers to see a doctor if they experience shortness of breath, chest pain, or heart palpitations. Marion hopes others learn from her experience.
If something doesn't feel right, speak up, advocate for yourself, get your heart checked, don't ignore it.
Proactive steps that could save 2 lives. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
About 1 in 4 people are born with a similar hole in their heart, but in most cases it doesn't cause any health issues and requires no treatment. Close encounters on the sea, making sure man and beast are safe. That's just ahead on Mid Morning. Welcome back. The CBS series Protecting the Planet explores environmental challenges and solutions in a changing climate. This morning we're looking at the deadly consequences of large ships colliding with whales. Federal officials are investigating an alarming spike in whale deaths. Experts believe whales have been drawn closer to shore this winter by their food sources into waters crowded with large ships. Ben Tracy shows us how scientists are deploying new technology on both coasts to try to keep some of the largest creatures on the planet alive.
Off the coast of Santa Barbara, California, the rising sun paints its first watercolor of the day. And the race is on to get this out to sea before the sea gets too rough.
We're kind of rocking and rolling out here now. Does this make it harder for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bumpy today, but we can't always have nice days out here.
This is not a sightseeing trip. It's a mission to save lives, and this could be a high-tech lifesaver.
So that's the big thing behind you there.
That is the big buoy behind me.
Engineer Jeff Pietro with the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution helped build this buoy at the heart of a new system called Whale Safe. He carefully maneuvers it off the back of the boat and into the rolling waves. It's tethered to an underwater microphone that detects whale songs. The Santa Barbara Channel is a prime feeding ground for these massive and often endangered sea creatures. It's also a major thoroughfare for the only thing bigger than they are, shipping vessels and cruise ships.
Given the size of a whale, you don't think of something else being much of a threat to it. But these vessels are so much bigger than the whales are.
Yeah, you know, for example, the blue whale, the largest animal to ever live, up to 100 feet, no match for a 1,000-foot cargo ship.
Callie Leaphart is a scientist with Whale Safe, which is funded by billionaire Salesforce co-founder Mark Benioff. It uses data from its buoys, satellites, and entries on a whale-watching app to predict the presence of whales in shipping lanes, warning the companies in near real time so they can voluntarily slow down to 10 knots, a speed set by a federal agency shown to significantly reduce the risk of fatal collisions.
There was a study done a few years ago that estimated that 80 endangered bluefin and humpback whales are killed on the U.S. West Coast every year.
By ships.
By ships.
Recent years have seen record West Coast whale deaths, with the notable exception of 2020 when the pandemic all but stopped international shipping. Scientists say most ship strike deaths go undetected because the whales sink to the bottom of the ocean. There was outrage last year when a beloved 49-foot whale washed up on shore south of San Francisco. Spotted hundreds of times during her life, scientists even gave her a name, Fran. She was found with extensive bruising and a broken neck, injuries consistent with a ship strike.
Having such a well-known loved whale die from something that we know is preventable it's tragic.
Whale Safe is now naming and shaming shipping companies and cruise ships that don't slow down, assigning them letter grades. Celebrity Cruise Lines was given a D, a cooperation rate of about 38%. Two of the largest West Coast shippers get Fs, slowing down less than 18% of the time. We asked all of these companies for comment. Only Matson responded, saying in a statement, it is, quote, working to meet the recommended speeds.
No vessel, no waterway user would ever want to strike a whale. It is a tragic, tragic accident.
Jacqueline Moore is with a trade group that represents the West Coast shipping industry. She argues most vessel carriers do slow down, but the shipping industry relies on them to deliver goods on time.
If you have the information that a whale is in the area, what would be the reason a ship would not slow down?
And there's really three main issues: efficiency, safety, and schedule. And schedule is really paramount here. Any delays based on slowing a vessel down can greatly impact those schedules.
On the East Coast, speed limits are mandatory to protect the endangered North Atlantic right whale. Data shows ships there comply 80% of the time. On the West Coast, where slowing down is voluntary, compliance is just 60%. Whale Safe is hoping to change that.
And the whole idea here, I imagine, is to figure out how to coexist.
Exactly.
To give one of the great creatures of the sea a chance to survive. Ben Tracy, CBS News, off the coast of Santa Barbara.
Secrets uncovered in a new show premiering next week. We'll take you behind the scenes when we come back. All right, we're just a week away from the series premiere of True Lies, a new action-packed comedy series inspired by the James Cameron classic 90s film. It stars Steve Howey as a suburban dad / international spy who unintentionally brings his wife into his world of danger and adventure. We have your behind-the-scenes look. Check it out.
Am I in the shot? Spy face.
True Lies, the show very much still has like the DNA of the 90s film.
Obviously it's an homage, but we're trying to have our own thing. We're trying to create our own thing. I'm a spy.
You've just been lying about everything since we met?
Please don't be mad.
Well, it's too late, Harry.
Helen Tasker thinks her husband is having an affair, but he really is a spy and has been lying to her since they met in college. And on this one mission, he brings his wife, telling her that it's a vacation, when in actuality it is a mission.
her entire reality is altered.
Cover story review. Where'd you stay? Cleveland Ramada, room 713. How'd you get the bruise on your arm? Luther's bag fell out of the overhead compartment on the plane. Good.
The Gibb character is tricky because he is, in a lot of ways, the de facto Hallmark husband that you don't see. He's doing all sorts of stuff to make Harry whole while Harry is working, saving the world.
I enjoy doing a lot of the action and the stunts. I did get to get on a rig and do all of the helicopter work, which was the most physical workout I've ever had.
Every week you're gonna get a 1-hour action film, basically.
Nice job. Is that from your exercise video?
That's from yoga class.
The fun is paramount, which I love.
You kind of get everything. So you get like really cool action, you get comedy, you get the sexiness, you get the family dynamic, which is very sweet and has a lot of heart.
If you're a fan of the movie, you're gonna become refamiliarized with the characters, and if you've never seen the movie, hopefully say, oh, wow, that's cool. Well, sometimes you really don't know who you're married to.
Don't miss the series premiere of True Lies Wednesday, March 1st at 9 p.m. right here on WCBI. And we will be right back to wrap things up. All right, be sure you stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you. We will see you back here next time. Have a great day.